morning. Today is day 8 of our stretching series, so we're on day 8 of moving the body. Today is about the upper back, so we're going to do a little bit of a 15-minute or so just moving for the upper back, and just basically some stuff that might help you. Obviously, from before, like we said, if you struggle with anything specific, or you struggle with anything that you might need help with, then obviously seek help and seek advice. A couple of things that I've got out at the moment, I've just got a foam roller, so for those of you that have a foam roller, you might choose to use that. If you don't have a foam roller at home, you can just roll up a towel quite firm and use that, just elastic band it together. I've just got a little squidgy ball, and again a rolled up towel will suffice with that. And I've just got a yoga block, and again a rolled up towel will suffice with that. That's really just to support my head. The other thing that I've got that might be useful is these are just 2 slider discs, so they just move very easily on the floor for me. If you don't have slider discs at home, if you've got a shiny floor, say tiles or wood, you might choose to use like a plastic plate or a towel that will slip. If you have, a towel, if you've got carpet, the plastic plates would work well to be a slippy surface. So we'll just see how we go in the next 15 minutes or so and see what we get through. So upper body. So we went from belly button down a few days ago. Today we're going to go from belly button up and just do a little bit of a routine that might help you. So, excuse me, I am going to just rest myself down on the floor, okay? If you remember before, we did a few little stretches with the glutes and knees side to side and some circles. So you might choose that you want to do those just to get you warmed up. So I'm just going to take you gently knee to chest. And then press away, and then same on the opposite side. Knee to chest and come away. Okay. What I'm going to be doing just to get sort of my lower back starting to move is take my hips to the side. I'm going to use my tummy to come back into center and take my hips to the opposite side. Breathing out. I'm going to try and use my ribs and my abs to help me move. Now, the further up my arms are, the more stretch I'm going to get through, okay? And if you remember from before, if we cross the leg over, then as we're moving, the more stretch. So in this position here, I'm starting to feel that my obliques will stretch. I'm starting to feel that I'm getting some stretch through my lats. And I'm also maybe getting a little bit of stretch through my pecs, depending on how tight I am, okay? So that's my start point. With my arms, I'm going to bring my arms down to the side, and I'm going to gently take both of them out so I can feel a stretch around the pec muscles. Careful here that we don't lift up from the rib cage. You want your rib cage and the back of your ribs nice and heavy. So I just want you to take deep breath in and think about the back of the rib cage here, melting into the floor. Same again, deep breath in, back of the rib cage, melting into the floor. One more time. As I breathe in, I'm going to stretch my fingertips away. So I'm reaching with my fingertips. You might not be able to see, but I'm going to keep them on the floor and reach away with the fingertips. You can take your arms up as high as you feel you need to without the shoulders coming in. Some people are nice and mobile, and they might find that they have their hands in a Y position, in a W position, and they can get their hands out in a Y position with the rib cage down and the hands on the floor. So definitely people who have been gymnasts or swimmers or such in the past that can get that range through their elbows and through their shoulders. We can take it out we can take it into a Y position, and we can take it out. So you can tell I'm a physio, so I spend most of my days down here. My reach into that is not that great. So if we can get elbows on the floor and hands on the floor without the rib cage coming up, that would be fantastic. But you should feel that stretches you through the ribs. I'm going to come back into center, and I'm just going to roll onto my side. So in this position here, a small ball, so a tennis ball, something like that would suffice. I think we did this stretch yesterday. We're taking a breath in to prepare, and as we breathe out, we're opening the chest out as far as we feel we can. We take a breath in, and we breathe out, and we go a little bit further. The danger on this one is that we lift the thighs up off the floor, hence why the ball's there. Just keep a squeeze on that ball so it keeps the pelvis still. Breath in, use the rib to come back, and then the arm will follow. If you struggle, you can use it short lever so that we open with the elbow. So if you're finding the whole arm is a little bit too much, there's too much strain on your shoulder or too much pull, you can do it in that short lever position. Again, take a breath in, breathe out, go a little bit further. Breath in to prepare, come all the way back. One last time, breath in to prepare, breathing out, come up and over. Now here, I can bend my elbow. Imagine that I've got a plate on my hand and I'm reaching into the diagonal. So I'm getting a little bit more of a stretch through that pec and that upper body. I come back in through center and I rotate back. I'm going to turn the other way. I'm just going to go top to tail so that I've not got my back to you. So I wind everything around through here. I'm going to come onto the floor. Take a breath in to prepare, and again we're going to start doing 3 on this side. I'm going to start with a short lever time today just for show. Breath in, a little bit further, take a breath in to prepare, breathing out my ribs and doing the work. I can do it in a long lever as well. Take a breath in, breathing out. Take a breath in, breathe out. Squeeze a bit further into that stretch. Another breath in, breathe out. And I'm rotating back. Now if I want to, I can actually do a breath in here. And I'm following my arm. And I breathe out. Up and in. Remember, I can bend my elbow and do those reaches. Just depends on how tight or how sore you are. Now you want to be careful that you're not doing here and looking this way, because that's my range. If I look the way I'm going, my whole body will turn that a little bit. Okay, I've got my bend into my dinner plate and I'm reaching into that line, and I'm being careful not to let go with my knee. I want to keep my knee there because then it stops my whole thighs from coming up. I take a breath in and breathe out and I rotate backwards. Okay? So that's my little book opening series. I'm going to take it into a sit-up now. Now with your seat, we're going to go into some mermaid stretches. So depending on how comfortable you are, you can either sit cross legs to do your mermaid stretches, or if you prefer, you can sit in Z-sit. So I'm going to do it in a Z-sit so that I do both sides. So we're going to start with the right hand down. Going to take a breath in and I'm up and over. And I'm going to take a breath out to rotate round and through my arm. I'm going to take an inhale to come back to center. I'm going to make sure my hip comes down and I reach back. If I want to, I can take it the other way. And you're not going to have as much range on this side, okay? So you want to take an inhale up and over, and you want to soften through the shoulder here. So if I move my hair out the way, as I come up, I don't want my shoulder in my ear. I want my shoulders soft and the elbows soft so I can reach. Don't want droopy palm trees either. We want nice tall palm trees, and we want to think about keeping that hip here down so we don't just leave the hip. We're going to take a breath out, reach through that gap. I'm going to take an inhale, come up. I'm going to come back to center, place the hand on my knee and reach the opposite way. Okay. I'm going to swap sides over. Now, if you are tight in the hip and you find it difficult, you can have your rolled up towel and place it under that hip. If you don't like your leg there, but you prefer it there, you can do them here. And like I said, you can do it cross it or kneeling. So I'm going to place my leg here and I can do the same. Inhale up and over. Exhale around and through, so I'm threading through that gap. Inhale to stretch. Exhale to return. If I'm doing it cross-legged, I would then take that hand and come over to stretch. Same again, in and up and over to your right. You're breathing out round and through. Inhale, come up. Exhale down, hand under the knee. Stretch. And if I was doing it in true mermaid sit, it would be inhale up and over. Exhale. Think of wrapping those ribs around. Inhale, stretch. Make sure this hip comes down. We're not keeping it lifted. We're trying to set our sit bones down. Hand on the knee. And reach up and over. Back to center. We're going to go cross-legged this time. If you're happy in cross-legged, we've got a small ball if you've got a small ball, or if you've got a roller, We're going to take the hands on the ball. We're gently rolling forwards as far as we can. Take a breath in. And we can back up to center. If I was using the roller, it would be exactly the same. We breathe out to reach. Take a breath in. Stack the body up on top. Just going to turn side on for you guys. If I'm side on here and I'm in that cross-legged position, again, it doesn't matter what I'm using to move. I want to start nice and tall. I want to tilt with the head, and I'm thinking about my sit bones and my back from here down, staying stable. So I breathe out. And I reach forward. From there, I take a breath in. Breathing out, I pull back. So the movement should be from the top of the head and then each vertebra down as I go forward. Breath in, expand through the back of the rib cage, and I breathe out to stack each vertebra up. So if I think about the vertebra being my Preston against the wall, and I peel each Preston off and I stack each Preston back on. Now, if you are mobile and you want to add in hamstrings, you could definitely do it long so that you reach forwards and you get the stretch through your hamstrings. And you come back. If your hamstrings are a little bit tight, you come up into a bent knee position. We breathe out and we roll forward and through. We take a breath in. And we curl back. Okay? Exactly the same with the roller, you just got the roller between your legs instead. With your sit here, one of the ones that I find clients like quite a lot, if you are able to, is in that Z-sit position, is trying to then change how you're doing it a little bit. So we take it a little bit into your mermaid stretches. So we come round and through and back. And then we take the ball and you go in the inside of the leg. Now, depending on how mobile you are, you might want to come around the leg and back up the outside. We breathe out. If we're mobile enough, we can reach down just a bit on that side. Thank you all the way through. And then we come down the inside of the other leg. We jump across it if we can't. And if you find that you are quite tight and you can't sit there, there's no reason that you can't do it around with your knees. Just do a mini work around. So we're getting a bit of a combination here of you bending, of you side bending and rotating at the same time. Okay? Some people might prefer to do it in the kneeling position. So what you'll do is you'll either kneel sit. Again, if you struggle with kneeling, have something behind your knees. I'm just going to use a roller instead. And we breathe out. And we can do it using the roller to reach and scoop with the roller to stack up. And that's your variation if you struggle with long sit, or your variation if you struggle with kneeling, cross-sitting. Okay, so on to a little bit of work with the discs. I'm just going to lose the ball here and show you what would be a nice one to do with discs. So if you've got your little disc, so ours are just little flat discs, I'm on a nice slippy floor here at the moment. I'm going to go into a quadruped position. So if I sit side onto you, quadruped just means that my hips are over my knees, or basically the tibia of my knee, and my hands are under my shoulders. I'm not so arched that I'm sinking down, and I'm not tucked underneath that I'm in a hump. Okay? And what I'm going to end up doing is having one hand on the slide. As I reach forward, I'm reaching down and I'm stretching. Take a breath in, and I'm coming all the way back. I'm just going to move on that a little bit further back so you guys can probably get a little bit of a better view. So my hand is on the disc. I take a breath in, and I reach in. I take a breath in, and I reach up. If I turn side on for you, the movement is from here. I'm in my quadruped position. I'm bending my elbow to allow me to reach forward. I'm taking a breath in and come all the way up. So I'm going to do a couple on the other side as well. So I'm going to take a breath in, breathe out, and I reach forward. Take a breath in, breathe out, and I come back. And my back on this is relatively straight. The aim is that I'm getting a stretch underneath all these tissues here. So it's my lats and the back of my triceps and the back of my posterior rotator. When I come back into center. The second way I'm going to do it is out to the side. So I'm going to take the arm to the side and I'm going to come down into my chest and come back into center. So I'm pressing out into my chest. And I come back up to center. I'm going to swap sides. So breath and prepare. As I exhale, the slider goes away from me and I come chest down towards. You can see my elbow is bending to support me and my weight is predominantly in my knees. So as I'm moving, the weight is in my knees and then I come up to center. And then the last one I'm going to do is with a bit of a crossover. So this time we're going to go underneath. And I'm going to bring my shoulder. So I'm doing a thread the needle and come back up. Thread the needle and come back up. I'm going to swap sides again. Bend. Now I can either take it with my arms straight or I can bend that elbow and get the head of the elbow shoulder down towards the floor. And coming back up to center. And then one more time. Breathe out, I reach round and through, and I come back into center. So hopefully that's giving you some nice ideas that are a little bit different to normal, so different to our normal book openings, that might be helpful for you for when you're doing some work with your upper body. So if you're thinking that you're in a chair, you obviously can do your standard side to side bends, but hopefully they might be a little bit different for you to normal. Like I was saying, if you have the roller, you can use the roller. If you have sliders, it could mimic something that could slide along a carpet floor easily, like a plastic plate, or a towel that could slide along a more shiny hard floor. So let's hope you enjoyed those. Any questions, then feel free. Shoot me a message and we'll be back next week. Take care. Have a fabulous weekend.